We often get asked what the collars are that appear around our horses' necks. The collars consist of a webbing strap that buckles around the horse's neck and a sturdy swivel ring. They are wider than a head collar, and therefore because they cover a greater surface area than a head collar strap, even if the horse puts tension on the collar, it will not dig in and hurt their neck. They are fitted so that we can get a hand between them and the horse's neck, making them snug enough not to be pulled off over their heads, but loose enough not to interfere if the horse bends his head in an outline. The primary job of the collars is to act as a backup for the head collar. If a horse is tied up, rubs his head and slips his head collar, the clip is connected both to the collar and the head collar, and the horse remains secured. We use them when we tie horses up to muck out their stables, and when putting them to the carriage. Should the head collar break, the horse is still secure. We also have free access to the horse's face and nose for grooming, knowing he is still tied up and without having to remove head collars. Some people, when harnessing up a horse, open the head collar at the noseband in order to put the bridle on, so the head collar is now acting exactly the same as our collar. However, the head collar is often at this point easily slipped over the ears because the headpiece is loose around their neck. Also, for head collars that do not open at the nose, they must be undone from the headpiece, lowered over the nose and done up again, meaning your horse is not fully secure at all times. If the head collar is then done up over the top of the bridle, there is the same problem in that you cannot take the bridle off without first undoing the head collar, which you may not always want to do, for example in an emergency situation, for fear of the horse getting loose. Taking the head collars with you on the carriage still means you have to put them on the horse before using them, whereas the collars we use can remain on whether in the stable or when being driven. Sometimes when driving we don't want to use a head collar under the bridle, as the buckles can rub on the horse's face, making it uncomfortable for them. The collars allow us to secure the horse while in the carriage with only the bridle on, and he can be tied up and unharnessed securely without needing to put the head collar on at all. You can get underhalters, which are thin, lightweight head collars that are sewn together rather than using buckles, but they have very little adjustment as they only have one buckle to allow the headpiece to be undone. If you have a horse with a wide nose, often you cannot get the head collar far enough up their noses, so it can rub on the bit. The other disadvantage in this is that you cannot open the head collar at the nose, for example if you are using it to tie up your horse and you need to remove the noseband to groom him. There are also gullet straps which run from the throat lash to the noseband to prevent the bridle being pulled off over the head. They have a small ring which allows you to attach a lead rope to, but the ring is rather small and not very sturdy. They are meant to be used to attach a lead rope to in an emergency situation, but are not very strong, and if you need to take the bridle off, they become useless as a head collar substitute. Here we have passed the noseband through the ring of the collar, and the throat lash through the collar itself, using it as a gullet strap. However, if we need to remove the bridle, we still have a secure point of attachment on the horse. If we are not using the collar as a gullet strap, it can remain on the horse without interfering with any other item of harness or the horse's face, either while being driven or while in the stable. In short, we use the collars with the horses we have in for training as an extra point of attachment, both when in the yard and in case of any emergencies while out driving. They allow us all the benefits of a head collar and gullet strap in one secure piece of equipment.